We good. Welcome, Black Cajun Sports Talk. I'm Del Greco Wilson, and today I'm excited because this is ACC Thursday for me. I have two of the hottest assistant coaches in the country as my guests. Adam Fisher and Chris Caputo have both been named to the top 50 high major assistant coaches list by Silver Wave Media. Now, let me stop here. Is that like the people's sexiest man alive thing? What?
No, but on that list a few years ago, they did just for the record, you can look it up. They did I think Angelo Lento did a 50 sexiest college coaches. I happen to be on the list. So you can look that one up.
Did you make that one too, Fish?
I've never been on that list, but my wife loves me. She tells me every day I look great, so I'm good with that.
Coach L made the list too, I think. Which is I don't think the head coach could not be on the list if the assistant is.
So look, these guys.
You may have to come, Del Greco. You may have to come back with that sexiest list. Email listeners.
Yo, I'm not a good judge of that, man. Unless we gonna go over to the other side, man. Now, these guys are the top assistants on the staff of Jim Larinaga at the University of Miami, or the U, as Uncle Luke and them call it, man. How y'all guys doing down there?
Hit him in the chest with it. One time again in the head. With Buddy Roll, y'all. Check it out.
I don't know what this world's gonna be, but I know one thing, that this is the life for me.
Baby, cause I'm a thug.
All day, every day,
Baby, cause I'm a thug.
wouldn't change for the world.
Cause I'm a thug.
That's right, you know,
Baby, cause I'm a thug.
I'm hot, oh yeah.
Yeah, check it out. Could it be my bag of jeans and my gold teeth that make me different from y'all? Ain't tripping, dog, but listen, dog, I was raised a little different, y'all. Doing my thing, using my ghetto slang, and I'm representing thug. Niggas who I roll with, watch them niggas that gon' love this. Niggas who I don't bun, on the run, they got 10 years on parole. You can't say it, dog, I'ma say it for y'all. Motherfuck the po-po.
Strange times for everybody, but our state is actually opening up, except for down in South Florida. So it's kind of sort of status quo down.
How about the wives? Is that anybody of players, everybody you close to, they're all following protocol and playing it close?
Yeah, I think everybody's, Coach L's done a great job of staying in touch with our guys, texting, calling every day, team Zoom call, just a wellness check-in. So he's checking in with them, their family. So I think, that's really important during this time right now with so much uncertainty.
All right. Well, let's get this thing started. So I have to ask you guys, man, what the hell happened this year, man? Y'all was under 500 in the regular season, and you got knocked off early in the ACC tournament. I want each of you to just take a minute and give me your assessment of the Canes' season and performance this past year.
Yeah, I'll start. Actually, I think we made some progress. We had some disruption like that. That's not a secret in the world of college basketball in 2017. And in addition to that, we lose 3 guys at the same time to the NBA, at the same time as we're losing a recruiting class and then a pretty good senior kind of group in the 2 years sort of in between. So, we're sort of innocent climb back, and I thought we made good progress. Some injuries, everybody in college basketball has dealt with injuries. I think for us this year, we were down to 7 guys for a good number of games, but we got some good experience from our younger group. And when we were healthy, we were pretty good. We had some good wins, but we just were not healthy probably for long enough stretches to sort of climb out of the, maybe the bottom of the middle of the pack of the league. But I think the good news for us is we got a lot back. We got a very nice addition, from Philly and Nasir Brooks. And then we've got 2 very good freshmen coming in that we think can help. So I think we're kind of back on the trajectory of where we were, which is, we've gone to 3 straight NCAA tournaments and 2 Sweet 16s in sort of 5 years, 6 year span. So I think we're sort of back in that place after all our disruption.
Fish?
Yeah, Doug, I think, you got to see progress from us. I thought we had a tough schedule, but that's the ACC. That's why guys want to come play here. But I was really happy to see some of our younger guys figure it out as the season went on. Isaiah Wong, Philadelphia guy, New Jersey guy right there, he really picked it up the last 16, 17 games. And again, he was able to get an opportunity because of injury. Harlan Beverly came in, played some great minutes. So I think that was good. And then, you look at our team now, we have a lot of fifth-year seniors. We've been really good here at the U when we're older, mixed in with some really good young talent. So I think that's what we're getting back to. So it wasn't the year we had hoped. We had some great wins, but we also had some games, we thought we could have gotten. But I think next year we're excited to see with all the pieces coming back.
Fish, you talked about guys wanting to play in the ACC. So let's talk about that league for a second. Miami's been in the ACC for 15 years now, man. Time really flies. I'm getting old. And I would argue, and this might, ruffle a few feathers, but I would argue that you guys could make and stake a claim as the Mid-Atlantic region's entrant into the ACC. You guys are up here all the time. Every time I'm out at an AAU event or a good high school event, if I look around, I see one of you guys over in the corner, taking your notes and getting the necessary reconnaissance. You've had some success landing some of these kids from up this way. Tell the viewers, what's the biggest difference between basketball as you guys play it in the ACC and what we see all the time with the Big East, the A-10, and now the Big Ten? What distinguishes ACC basketball? Why is it special?
I'll start here, Chris. I think the one thing you see a lot, and it's not really an opinion, if you look at the number of NBA draft picks over the last 10 years, the ACC has the most by far. So I think that's a huge draw. You're going to get to play with pros and against pros every night. And I think that's, every league has great players. Every league, especially the ones you named. But when you look at total number of draft picks, we had guys get drafted in the ACC last year that didn't even start on their team. And yet here they are going in the first round or second round, early second round. So I think it's a pros league. And it's fast paced, right? That's what, some of these other leagues are a little bit more slow it down. We want to be up and down, and a lot of these teams do. So I think, that's one of the things. I don't know what you think, Chris, but I think that kind of separates our league a lot.
Yeah, I think, just to piggyback off Adam, for better or worse, our league loses guys at such a rapid pace to the NBA. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where, so sometimes when you look at the RPI or the, hey, the Big Ten, got 12 teams or 11 teams in, say, tournament, whatever. Those are great leagues. We've played against those teams. Those, we played on the road. We played at home. Not taking nothing from those leagues. Bottom line in terms of the numbers are, if you have success early in our league, you're going to have a chance to leave and go to the NBA. You just don't see that many guys go through our league for 4 years that have had early success. And so I think that's why it's been attractive for players, all over the country for many, many years, even before we joined the league. I'd say the other thing, Del Greco, is when you think about our sort of being in the Mid-Atlantic or even up to New England and down to the D.C. area, that really, although our staff is from that area and certainly most people would go back to where they're from, it's also the demographic of our school. So if you look at our school, it's a private school in the South. So we're the southernmost city.
I don't think people understand that, because you guys play such good football and they've come to know you through the football in the 80s. I think people probably assume that you guys are a public school. Not only is it private, but it's a fairly elite academic institution. Just touch on that for just a second.
Yeah, it's a top 50 school in the country. They're, around that area. If you know Miami, Miami's a northern city in the South, right? There's nothing southern about Miami except its location. There's tons of people from New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Boston, Washington, that live down here, vacation down here, what have you. So our student body costs $70,000 a year.
Did we lose him, Fish?
He's going in and out a little bit.
We have plenty of kids from We're back?
You're going
Yeah,
in
you
and
back.
out for a minute. Yeah.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah. So in any case, our student body kind of mirrors the way we've recruited. That's what I would say.
All right. Well, look, in recent years, I've become a pretty voracious consumer of the Big Ten. I follow, you see the shirt today, I follow Penn State, Maryland, Rutgers, and now I got my buddy Phil's up at Michigan, Bruisers out at Indiana. And of course, like everybody else up here, I grew up on the Big Five. But yo, man, Villanova's just mopping these guys up. It's just not the same, you know. It's just not the same intensity to the rivalries that I grew up on. In fact, you know, I kind of been throwing a new hypothesis out there. I think that the Big Ten is well on its way to challenging the Big East as the preeminent basketball conference in that Mid-Atlantic region. You know, Keith Stevens, he argues that from like the DMV on down, that is still firmly ACC territory. But I see Maryland, Penn State, and, you know, more recently Rutgers making real moves up here, getting good players, having some success. So while the ACC is not entrenched, you know, say from New Jersey, Philly, all the way through Delaware, Northern Maryland, Miami is. You guys have come up here. You got Davon Reed out of Trenton, the legendary Philly schoolboy, Jaquan Newton out of Newman Goretti, Lonnie Walker out of Reading, two-time Philadelphia Catholic League Player of the Year, Isaiah Wong. And as I think Fish mentioned a little earlier, you got Big Nasir Brooks. That's a local lineup, for real. That's a Big Five lineup. So is it fair to say our region is just prime recruiting territory for the U? If so, why is that? And what do you guys like about these kids? What do they bring that allows you to feel strong about their ability to compete in the ACC?
I think the first thing I would say, Del Greco, you got great coaches up there, right? Between high school coaches, guys that work guys out in Philadelphia, the AAU programs, I mean, they are well coached. So that's something we look at, right? You know, when you go watch one of these practices at one of the high schools that we go to recruit at, they run a real practice in Philadelphia. Like, it's teachers of the game there, which is huge. And then you ask, you know, what do we look for? We look for toughness, right? And Philly's got a toughness about it, you know, and I think we've been lucky. I think, it started, obviously, Davon Reed was, what a great story, you know, ranked 160, whatever, you know, Chris, Michael Huger, Eric Conkle, Coach Larnega did a great job getting him to Miami. And 4 years later, here's a guy not in the top 100, becomes the 32nd pick of the NBA draft, you know, and that's a great testament to him. What a great family. I think those kids in Philly just have a toughness, a grit, and they want to be the best. Like, they're not going to settle for being good in Philly. Like, you want to be the best. Like, you know, the pickup games in the summer are unreal, right, at any of the gyms. And I think we've tried to go into that area because obviously we have connections from there. But again, it's just you got so many great basketball people there that are teaching these young kids. So by the time they get to us, a lot of the work has already been established, the groundwork, the game. So that's something I think, Chris, I don't know if you want to piggyback off that or your thoughts on.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, obviously Coach Larnega is a guy from New York who has, you know, had great success as a player in New York City. And then, you know, much of our staff, Fish, has done an incredible job of, you know, staying connected in Philadelphia and being up there a lot. He's from the area. For myself, you know, I played in the New York Catholic League. I went to college in New England, so I got familiar with the New England prep schools. And then when I got to George Mason, you know, while we recruited the DC area very hard, you know, we tried to get into Philly a lot with not a lot of success, probably because of what, you know, the Big Five and obviously Brews at Drexel doing a great job there. And but we did try to go up there. I remember, you know, I used to drive like on a Sunday morning, wake up in Fairfax, Virginia, get breakfast, and then, you know, get in a car in 3 hours. You're at a high school game in Philadelphia. And while, again, we didn't have a lot of success per se, getting guys to go to George Mason from there, we built some good relationships with people that, you know, you started to build that respect for the culture of basketball in Philadelphia. And for me, it reminded me a lot of what New York was in the 90s when I was there. or what DC is now in terms of just how well the guys are coached, the trainers, the AU people, the high school coaches are all pretty connected. One guy that was incredibly nice to me, and I feel like I would want to mention is Greg Wright, who just passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And Greg was, I thought just a wonderful guy, and he had no reason to really be, nice to me and spend time with me. We didn't have any of his players, and really weren't a factor in Philadelphia. He was a great guy. I was really saddened to hear that he passed, because I thought he did a lot for the basketball community. So to piggyback on what Fish said, yeah, I think just the type of player, the environment, everyone throws the word culture around, but culture's, am I unstable again here?
No, you good.
I'm good. I don't know. I saw a sign that said unstable connection. So, but anyway, I think the culture, what you guys do up there, really attractive to any program. To Keith Stevens' point, I remember being in DC. I always felt like Baltimore was a Big East city,
Mm-hmm.
and then anything south of Baltimore was like the ACC
territory.
And then Philly was sort of could go either way because of Villanova, but the Big Five obviously was such a big deal. It was always very hard to get guys to leave the area because they had so many strong programs, not just Villanova, but obviously Temple and LaSalle and Penn and Drexel when Brew was there when I was in the league had it rolling. And so from that perspective, I think maybe TV has changed that, TV probably has changed that in terms of those kids now being able to really watch the Big Ten,
Yes.
maybe the ACC, whereas, in the 80s or 70s, that wasn't the case. I mean, everything was the Palestra and the Big Five, and that was for those kids.
Well, look, one of the ongoing, I think, and really frustrating debates that I have is about one of your guys and one of my all-time favorite guys, Jaquan Newton. Now, I worked with Jaquan while he was in high school. Went to his house a lot. His dad, Joe, and I are friends, and I just really wanted him, once I knew he wanted to go with you guys, I wanted to help him be in a position to go ahead and get down there. So I watched him bust his ass to get his grades and test scores to a place where he could accept that scholarship and you guys could feel comfortable that he could compete at a school like Miami academically. And actually, one day I went to his house not knowing that his mother had passed away earlier that day. I mean, he's just really my kind of kid, man. He's just an old school, loyal kid. But there's this narrative in Philadelphia that contends that he didn't have a successful college career. So I always counter that. And I say, the kid won 95 games in 4 years. They went to the postseason every year. You were NIT runner-up, and he had a Sweet 16. 3 NCAA appearances, over 1,100 points, 300 rebounds, 300 assists, 100 steals. Looking back on it, how do you guys feel about Jaquan Newton's stint as a Miami Hurricane? Did he have a successful career? And I didn't even bring up the shot against North Carolina, man. So
yeah, I guess I'll start, and Fish, feel free to jump in.
Yeah.
I would think he had a great career. I think one thing you didn't mention, he got his degree from the University of Miami, which, I think he would probably say this, and look, a lot of people where he came from, you're not going to be able to say they got a degree from one of the more prestigious private schools in America.
Mm.
We really had great success when he was here. We should have won the NIT that year. There was BS call. Maybe I'll get in trouble for saying that, but and then obviously,
Coach Caputo, I don't know if you can see it. It's one of my favorite pictures of all time right here. Can you see it?
Yeah, you see it right there. Yeah, Quan with his cap and gown.
That was a big day for us when he got that cap and gown.
You text me that picture, I'll have it running as a B-roll while you guys.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, no, that was a great day, and we won. I mean, we won almost 100 games in his 4 years. Went to 3 NCAA tournaments, an NIT championship game. We lose at the buzzer to Loyola. Chicago goes to the Final Four, and Bruce Brown had been hurt, so there's no telling, where we could have gone, maybe if Bruce is healthy. And, Jaquan was a big game player. He was a guy that anytime you felt like you were playing a great team, he was going to give you his absolute best. At North Carolina, defending national champion. The shot he makes is sort of indicative of that. We've got that shot in our office.
He
prominently
ran
displayed.
down to that baseline to get that ball. He didn't want to hear about no timeouts. He wasn't looking for nobody else. He went and got that ball, was fully aware of the situation, and carried y'all on his back to that win.
No, that's one for the ages for our program, and for him, it's a great moment he'll have forever. I think like most guys, I'm sure they could look back when they're, hey, maybe if I could have done a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that or what have you. If I was getting technical with it, I think, and Quan would probably say this too, like, sometimes trying to figure out, am I a point guard or am I a scorer? And what do I want to develop as, for the next level? He was a true combo guard for us. He played some point. He played off the ball along with other point guards. You could put him in scoring situations. He was an unselfish player, but he had such a downhill sort of – he's almost like a running back that, like, when he saw the hole, he was going to run to the hole, and for him, I couldn't have been more proud that he was able to have a great college career and get his degree.
Fish?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's one of the all-time greats at Miami. Like, I think, it's a 4-year guy, so people probably judge it as, hey, he didn't get to the NBA, he didn't leave early. I look at it a little differently, like, where's Jaquan Newton when he's trying to work out or has free time? He's back in Miami. He's helped build this culture that this is a second home to these guys. And I think he was one of the guys that got that started where, hey, man, let's all come back to Miami. So, he jumps out there sometimes on a scout team. We got to get compliance's approval. But if he's in town, hey, let me be scout team for a day. And he still got it. Trust me. He'd be shaking all those young freshmen when he's out there. But he's just a great guy. And, I'm really proud of him, especially, getting his degree. Because if you ask people in Philly, is this guy going to get a degree from the University of Miami? I remember the first few times I was there, they were like, woof, good luck with him when I walked into Newman Goretti and stuff. But testament to him, he really stayed to it. And I'm really proud of him.
I'm not surprised at all to hear that he comes back and spends times with you guys because, like I said, when I introduced this little piece right here, he's just old school loyal, man. It's just real. And I value that, and I love that kid, and I'm glad we got a chance to set the record straight for all y'all hating ass motherfuckers. I love that kid, man. All right. Now, the other one, he had a brief but very, very impactful stay with you guys. The Reading legend, Lonnie Walker. When healthy, I know that you guys had to be at practice and workouts sometimes, and he would just show, some levels of athleticism because he does it in the NBA, he did it in high school, he did it in AAU. What do you expect from him as he tries to find his way, as an NBA starter and have a long career at that level?
I think he's going to be a starter soon. I really do. I think he's just scratching the surface. He's such a student of the game, Del Greco. He's learning from everybody. If you look at who he played for, the team final guys, Rob, AB, all those guys got him, right? And then Rick Perez did a great job. He just took everything Coach L would tell him. He's a sponge. And what better person to learn from in the NBA than Pop, right? So he might get frustrated at times, but it's such a great spot for him to learn as a youngster in the NBA, how the NBA works. And that's a tough transition. But again, I think he's going to make it. I think he's going to be in the NBA a long time. And he's another guy, you talk about loyalty. How many guys would stay at Reading High when all these other schools are coming, right? Yes. NBA All-Star Weekend. Where does he go? He stops in Miami, spends a couple days with us, then he goes back to Reading. Like, some of the stuff he does off the floor is just unreal. And, again, another guy we're so proud of, but it's not just because of what he's doing in the NBA with the Spurs. It's the way he's giving back to his community and his loyalty to, again, Reading, to us, team final, all that stuff. So, but again, I think he's going to be in the NBA a long, long time, and we're just starting to see him scratch the surface.
Chris?
I think he first for us, he was great. I mean, unfortunately, got hurt like within days of getting here for summer school. And, we probably, I know Adam, I think would feel the same way as Coach Larinaga and myself. Like, you almost feel like in some ways we couldn't do enough for him because we didn't have that summer, so you lose July, August, September, most of October. I think he practiced, and then we play our exhibition or scrimmage game usually like October 31st or Halloween. Like he may have practiced a week prior to that, full contact, and his first real really going up and down and playing was our scrimmage game. And at that point, you're sort of in preparation mode for the game to come. And it took him a little bit of time. First, he worked relentlessly to get healthy. And then when you get healthy, you're still not in rhythm and you're just learning like as a freshman.
We lose Chris again?
Yeah, I think we lost
player and making big shots. Am I here?
We lost you for a second. How about this one too, Doug? I don't know if you know about this. So we played a game in Reading. We played LaSalle, and this place was packed. Right? It's packed. Coach L forgets that Lonnie Walker's on the bench. Next thing you hear is, "We want Lonnie" throughout this arena. And Coach L's he turns to us and goes, "Why are they saying that? Lonnie's in the game." We're like, "Nah, you got him on the bench." He was like, "Lonnie, get out there." And it was like, this place erupted. So Coach L loves telling that story. He thanks the Reading people for reminding him to put the 18th pick of the draft back in the game.
Well, look, Isaiah Wong is another kid from up this way. And I watched him develop under, Terrell Myers and Ron Martin and Skip Robinson and those guys at the We Are One program. And as the season progressed with you guys, you clearly gained a level of trust in him as a playmaker and a scorer as the season went on. Talk about the dramatic improvement he showed from the beginning to the end of the season. And tell me, Wong and Lyles, is that the best backcourt in the nation next year?
Well, I'm even going to throw two more names at you, too. I think James Johns and our man Wayne did a great job when they were at We Are One with him. And I think those guys really helped him along with everybody you mentioned. Isaiah, as you know, is a quiet young man, right?
Does he talk to y'all? He's funny when he got something to say, man.
When he talks, he is funny. We got to open up a little bit. So, I think what happened with Isaiah was it was such a learning curve for him. The speed, some other stuff that he just needs time. Once he figures it out, you see the light bulb go for him. So again, here he was averaging 3 points, 8 minutes a game. He just didn't look comfortable out there. I'm like, this is not the same guy I saw, Catholic League Player of the Year, We Are One, winning championships, all that. So, he started watching more film, and I give it a credit to him. He said he came in one day and was like, "Hey, I got to figure this out. I got to get better." So he started watching more film of himself and the opponent, and he stayed after every day for another 30 minutes. Nothing crazy, just catch and shoot or little things. Free throw. He was 3 for 10. He stayed and shot 100 free throws every day, and then he ends up shooting 91%. So I think he figured it out. As he played better, the trust goes up with the coaches, right? And I think I give a huge credit to Coach Larinaga because he always believed in him. I think Isaiah got a little down on himself a little bit, and Coach was like, "What are you talking about? You're a heck of a scorer. I ain't worried. You're going to make shots." So I think that, and, I give his mom credit too. Lachelle did a great job of keeping his confidence up, and you saw that confidence soar to the end of the year. But him and Likes, it's fun. But we also got some other guys around them to help for this upcoming year.
All right, Chris?
Yeah, I give him a lot of credit, and I think it's a good lesson for young players, especially guys who are freshmen coming into college at the high level. Like, as a great scorer, the minute he stopped thinking about scoring and thinking about defending and rebounding and kind of affecting the game without having the ball in his hands, he all of a sudden started to score the ball incredibly well and incredibly efficiently. I think he was pressing early on. Again, a little bit of that is when you're a real high usage guy, like a lot of great high school players are, and you get to try a lot of different things and you're high volume, and then you try to go into a place where, hey, you're not going to necessarily get that sort of volume, and you got to be a little bit more selective, and it can mess with guys in terms of, their head in terms of how am I going to play? And, when you, like most things, when you start playing with a free mind and kind of take your mind off that, and he really started to become, before he started scoring, he started to become our best perimeter defender. He became a very good rebounder from his position. and he was becoming a really good cutter off the ball and creating a little bit of offense that way. And all of a sudden, you start seeing a guy become an incredibly efficient offensive player that's starting to score the ball with volume. And so it's something that a lot of young players, I think, need to understand. And to his credit, he had to go through some things to understand that, but he got through it and was really able to finish off well.
Now, we touched on this a little bit earlier, but after a great run, Miami, the past couple of years, has kind of finished in the middle of the pack in the ACC. From your perspective, what has to happen to get Miami back in the mix for those deep NCAA tournament runs you guys were having?
I think we're in position. I'll let Fish jump in too, obviously, but yeah, I think we're in position for that to happen. You know, it's hard to. I've coached in the Final Four. I've coached in multiple Sweet 16s, and you know, I've also lost in the first round. So I think it's hard to predict like how deep you're going to go in the tournament. But I think your roster composition has a certain look to it when that's the case. And I think we're kind of back there, as Fish alluded to earlier, like the disruption that we dealt with, combined with the losses at the same time of underclassmen to the NBA and some really good 4-year guys like a Jaquan Newton and others, you know, put us in a very strange situation. I would actually say probably a more unexpected disruption than almost anybody in college basketball had dealt with in the last few years. And we're finally back to the point where we have a blended roster of older, veteran, talented guys, younger guys who got good experience, and then talented freshmen that I think can make an impact right away. So I think we're there. Now, we still got to do the work, but from a roster standpoint, I think our roster is much more solidified than it's been.
Fish?
I'll keep mine simple. Philly kids.
So it's a bunch of them you like up here?
I can't get into specifics.
You don't need names. I'm just saying,
love that area, and there's a lot of people in that area.
The pond is fully stocked, man. You got some fill out there.
Yeah, as soon as we can fly again, trust me, that Miami to Philly flight will be happening.
It'd be about $37 too.
Bring my golf shirts and my hoodies, man. Look.
Wait, hoodies? We don't got hoodies here. Look at this background. It's 85 today.
Nice baseball caps and a bunch of golf shirts, man. I'm good. So look, talk to me about how you think some of these rule changes are going to impact the way you guys go about your business. You know, college rosters are now more fluid than they've ever been. And with the players becoming immediately eligible, either this year or next year at the latest, will that significantly change the way you guys approach this high school recruiting thing? Will you prioritize these older, proven college guys over the high school kids, or will you continue to go after the really good high school kids and maybe just take a transfer here and there?
Well, I'll touch on something quick, Chris, and if you want to jump in. Like, I think you still got to build relationships, right? We've had great success here with transfers that have sat out. So, you know, you look at Nasir Brooks. We swung and missed. We tried to get him, you know, and Cincinnati did a great job. Yep, got out of high school, did a great job. He's looking to transfer. You know, they kind of reach out to us. We reach out to them. So you build that relationship. Kamari Murphy, same thing. You know, lose out to Oklahoma State, came down to us and them. He spends a couple years there. He wants to transfer. He calls us. Angel Rodriguez. We've had great success here with guys transferring, but the key is sitting out. You got to take advantage of that year. I think there's a stat that the guys that have sat out in our program through transfer have averaged like 12 plus points a game, and all their shooting numbers have gone up. So I think there's so much player development here, but it's about to change. You know, we've talked to a couple kids and we said, hey, we'd love for you to come and sit out. And they're looking at us like, sit out? No, I'm coming to play right away. But I think that's such a thing we've done here is that year off is not off. You probably work harder in your redshirt year at Miami than you do because we want you to be ready for the game. So that's just something I wanted to throw out there right away, Chris. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I would say Del Greco, you obviously been so intertwined with the academic piece with people. You know, I know you you've been able to help guide people there and make people understand what you need to do to be academically eligible, and how much pride you take in the kids from Philadelphia graduating. Like my thing would be, like, I think there's, in many cases, the right thing is for kids to be eligible. There's certainly a lot of circumstances that I point to and say, hey, coach left, or someone ran this guy off, or there's something going on at home that really has to be attended to, a number of different things. I also think my fear is it's really going to affect graduation rates.
Mm-hmm.
Because the guys who redshirt, whether they redshirt because they got injured, they redshirt whether they transferred, or they redshirt because of for a developmental reason, of which I don't know if that exists anymore. The 5 years really helps them graduate, 4.5 years. So that would be one concern on my end. Like, are you willing to redshirt a freshman for developmental reasons, knowing that at the end of the year the guy could leave you without having you know what I'm saying? So that, I don't know, like, there's plenty of guys, I think we all know that, like, hey, if we redshirt this guy, man, I think he'll really help us after that. And by the way, he's now got a cushion academically. There's a strong possibility that coaches are going to say, we're not doing that.
Yeah, because you'd be basically doing all the development for the next man.
Yeah, and again, and I think that I wonder if it'll just be people might be a little too quick to do it. Again, on the other hand, I see that.
Man, that Miami internet is not reliable, man.
Coach Caputo, you got to pay for the high-speed internet, man. You're going in and out.
I am. I'm paying for incredible amounts. I got to call the company. It's unbelievable.
You got to go get that football internet. I bet you their internet.
No doubt.
I bet that's 4K over there, boy.
No doubt.
So, look, you guys mentioned earlier the incredible number of ACC kids that make their way to the NBA. And you see this G League Professional Pathways program coming into existence. It only follows that you guys, your league, will be dinged a little more than the other leagues because you have more of those kids. So you got these kids making upwards of $500,000. I mean, I think that the lowest they're going with those kids in that program is like 125. So you got kids anywhere from 125 to 500,000 deciding to take that money and go play in the G League. I think one kid did turn it down, though, and he's going to Texas.
Greg Brown, yeah.
Yeah, and I think his number was like 400,000. He turned down $400,000 to go play a year for Shaka Smart. I got to go down Texas and see what that locker room looked like, man. Mm-hmm. But do you think you guys, your program in particular, and the ACC in general, you think this is going to limit the number of those one-and-done, surefire kids that you guys will see on rosters up and down your league?
I think there'll be, you're going to have some guys do it, and I think, you got to do what's best for your family. That's how I would tell all these kids. It's all individual. Do what's best for your family. I think you'll see some people go, but I also think you'll see some people that love the college game. I mean, you're taking chartered flights everywhere. You're getting catered to. You're on national TV every night. Articles written out the wazoo about you when you're one and done. Especially, you become some of these guys. You look at Zion was the face of college basketball.
Yes.
So you might lose a couple of them, but I think you're still going to have a ton of kids that want to do it. If you watch, even when guys walk into the NBA Finals, so many of them are wearing their college hat, right? When they're walking into the arena, there's still that sense of pride that, whether you spent 1 year, 4 years, or whatever it may be at certain schools, with the alumni, the people you meet. So I think it will affect our game, but all rules do, and everything's got to adapt, right? You look at the game 10 years ago from where it is now, there's so many rules that have changed. So I think you just got to adapt and just know there's going to be some changes to it, but I think it's good. Every kid's got to do what's best for them and their family.
Yeah, I think, for me, this seems like a reaction to guys going to overseas.
Australia getting the big money, yeah.
Yeah, and Adam Silver didn't want to lose those guys to overseas if they were not going to go to college. It's not the G League. You know, these guys are not going to be staying at Motel 6 and getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, flying Southwest, connecting and playing that night, and they're not doing that. And quite frankly, as good as they are, at 18 years old, that would be a very difficult league, I think, for them to play in successfully, because there's a lot of grown men in that league. And it doesn't seem like, again, maybe I'm wrong and you can correct me, but it doesn't seem like the NBA Players Association and the NBA are totally connected as it relates to changing the one and done rule just yet. So that might be a few years out, not like 1 year out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, you know, for the guys who go, I'm sure it'll work for someone because they would have been one and dones or none and dones anyway. But it's not for everybody.
Well, you know, there's another rule change that's really fast approaching, and take the kid Brown that's going to go to Texas. Even though he passed on $400,000, they're going to allow players to be compensated for use of their likeness and image. You know, maybe not 400, but he can get some money if he has some success at a school like Texas. And in your league, and in your program in particular, your athletic department, you talk about if Miami football and Miami basketball gets back where it's supposed to be and where it has been in recent years, the top players walking around on your campus will have significant earning potential as product or service endorsers. Do you guys think that these players should be allowed to earn this money through appearances and endorsements? And how will these guys making this kind of money impact the way you have to manage? Because I know a lot of this stuff is going to fall on you guys, the top assistants. Manage the dynamics of the locker room, you know, because you might have the guys number 9 through 13 may not get all those opportunities that the top 2 or 3 guys get. So how do you guys see this stuff playing out?
You want to start? All right.
Yeah, I know Chris is very passionate about.
No, I mean, I think they should be able to profit off their image and likeness for sure. I can't begin to understand exactly how that should be done or what the NCAA. I haven't even really looked at enough of it yet. Only that, you know, just like any young person who's going to be in that space, they can benefit from, like, you know, social media, what have you. From my understanding is sneaker companies and such can't get involved in that. I don't know if that, Del Greco, do you know that?
I would imagine restaurants and car dealers, and, you know, if I'm having a mall opening or something like that, I sure could use the running back or the point guard from the U to come draw some young people.
It would be interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that works. And then, is it the agents that are getting to these, whoever the guys are? And I'm not sure it's as big of a population as we think it might be, but are the agents now working with them at a young age, the high school age, and it's almost like when they come to us, they've already got representation that's going out there to solicit marketing. I don't know.
Well, that kind of, you know, everybody has a guy. So,
right.
You know, we've already had that dynamic, but I do think that the professionals will enter that space much more seriously and, you know, kind of establish themselves earlier.
And I would prefer that, right? Like, I think they should get it, but I don't know that, like, assistant college basketball coaches should also become marketing executives at the same time, you know? If so, do I get 20% on the deal like the marketing guy or no? You know? No, I just
start out, man. What do you think of the NCAA putting all this on you guys kind of at once, man? It's like a speeding train coming from 3 different directions with all this stuff, man.
COVID-19's got a lot of people at home with a lot of extra time on their hands.
Throwing a pandemic too, yeah.
But it's, you know, again, it's going to be something that everybody's going to have to adjust to. But I think that these kids do so much for these universities.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they've got to get everything that they can that's legal.
Yes.
So, you know, again, they spend so much time. People don't even know the hours, you know. I love when you see some of these videos about a college student's typical day. Like, that typical day is jam packed. Like you can't get a job, you can't do anything else. So again, I think it's something I haven't read enough about it to navigate it and everything, but anything these kids can get, I think they should.
All right. Well, look, I'm a fan of Uncle Luke. I'm a fan of Miami football. You know, I graduated high school in '83, man. So the U was, it was popping. And, you know, I understand where Rick Barry played college basketball. You know, I know these things, but I don't think that the general public, you know, has a deep understanding of what the University of Miami represents in a larger sense. So take a few minutes and tell people why the University of Miami is a great place for elite basketball players to come and play in the ACC and pursue a college degree.
I think the number one thing, you know, we've already touched on it, you know, being a top 50 university, you know, you're going to get a great degree here. And we were one of the first schools, Del Greco, to do a lifetime scholarship. So if you leave early after your first, second year, you're going to come back and work on your degree. You don't pay for that. Take care of your family with the money you've earned. You don't have to pay for the school. The university is going to do that lifetime scholarship. I think something else that's really unique here is a lot of these NBA guys have a house in Miami or Coral Gables, or their agent has a house in Coral Gables. So our gym is a who's who in the summer for pickup games. You know, I remember seeing, you know, Jason Tatum jump in pickup game with our freshmen. Our freshmen are like, that's Jason Tatum out there. Like, yeah, he's going to go play against him. Let's go. So I think that's been something that's really great here. And again, we talk about the ACC. Again, we think, you know, best league in college basketball. You look at where you got to go every night. You know, you're playing North Carolina on a Saturday. You're going at Duke on Monday night, and then you're playing Louisville on the next Saturday. So if you want to find out how good you are, this is the league to be. It's a pro's pro. And I think, you know, being down here is a great location, right? Like, this is paradise. You know, we talk about that. Like, I talk with some of the people in Philly. You're not wiping the snow off your car at 3 a.m. when you get back from a road trip. We're getting off the plane, it's 80 degrees. So if you add great academic institution, top basketball league, a place that has had pros developed here, and then you play with pros in the summer, you know, I think they use a great fit for a lot of these kids.
Chris?
Yeah, I would, without being redundant with Fish, I would just say, you know, I think the guy's experience has been great playing for Coach Larinaga. I think the guy's done it a long time, and the experience would be we feel like as good as it gets. You know, great location, great school, great league, great coach. We've had success. We've had success helping guys get better and play professionally, not only in the NBA, but, you know, we've got 4 or 5 guys in the Euro League. You got 4 or 5 guys in the G League. We've been able to help guys have careers in basketball. And again, I think it's a great location, world-class city and community. So we're not like everybody else. We've got a younger sort of history.
To the bitter end, Fish. To the bitter end.
Yeah, we could get anywhere. And I think the guys, yeah.
You went in and out again.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. Anyway, I'll let Fish answer since my internet's better. Maybe we can get better internet. I can add that to things that are good about the program.
Just fix it before we get these recruits.
I know. I don't know what's wrong.
That's all I want to make sure.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to figure it out, man. I got to go to one of those football games real soon. And I want to, when I come down, I want to go to a football game. I want to meet Uncle Luke, and I want some good Cuban food. Can y'all handle that, man?
Those are easy.
All right, well, that's a bet, man. We getting down there. I appreciate you guys coming on, and I'll talk to you guys.
All right,
my way as soon as Mother Nature allows us to see each other once again.
Thanks for having us.
I'ma say it for y'all. Motherfuck the popos, fuck the judge, the COs, fuck the DA and POs, fuck the family of the victim, witness, and stitching assholes.
I don't know what this world's gonna end, but I know one thing, that this is the life for me.
Baby, cause I'm a thug.
All day, every day.
Baby, cause I'm a thug.
Wouldn't change for the world.
Cause I'm a thug.
That's right, you heard.
Baby, cause I'm a thug.
I'm hot, oh yeah.
Check it out. See, I'm so tight. Niggas be like, that nigga got so many hoes. And I know he got clout. Look at his mouth. That nigga got so many goals. Tellin' they hoes. There's something up with that nigga. Bitch, I've been watching you, watching him. You must wanna fuck this nigga. My name alone been known to break up happy homes. No disrespect, dawg, but you ain't had no business even answering her phone. If your ass was home, then me and her could've been getting it on. And you could've been hitting her right, cause ever since the night she been hitting the phone. She want a thug.
I don't